Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live.
The Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. You only win a Super Bowl 2 times every 5 years, right?
Oh!
The warm-up act is over. Let's bring in Melissa Etheridge, massive Chiefs fan. Melissa,
Super Bowl champion, 2-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
And he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score!
we'll see you next week. But until then, as always, go Chiefs.
What's going on? Welcome into the Arrowhead Addict podcast. What's old is new again, except for me. I'm just old. I'm Matt Verderame. And you are basically taking a trip back in time with me being the only host here today. Patrick Allen out on paternity leave as he and his wife expect soon the birth of their first child, which we're all excited about. You may be less excited about it considering now you're stuck with me. I am extremely excited to be here. I will be here pretty much every Thursday for the next handful of months, and then I'm sure many Thursdays after that. As we go forward through the offseason, we just got through the first phase of OTAs. This podcast today is going to be pretty free-flowing. If you got some questions, like I can't say I can answer every one of them, but I will try to answer as many as I can. We'll chat it up for, whatever it is, 30, 40 minutes, something like that. But I am here and excited to be with you. And before we get into the meat and potatoes of this podcast, we, of course, have a read that we would like to give you from Draftkings. Hey, Chiefs fans, Draftkings is offering a no-sweat bet sign-up bonus for new users. New customers who sign up with code Arrowhead and deposit at least $5 will receive a no-sweat bet up to $1,500 bonus on their first wager. This means if you place a first bet of $50 and you lose, you will receive a $50 credit and bonus bet straight to your account up to $1,500. You will also receive one single game parlay reward every day. Using our code Arrowhead not only gets you these bonuses, but it also directly supports our podcast. If you've been considering signing up for DraftKings, make sure to use the code Arrowhead to maximize your first bet. This offer is only available to new customers who are 21 and up and physically present in legal gambling states. Please remember to always gamble responsibly. Check the episode description for the full terms of the offer to see if you qualify. And that, my friends, is how you get the job done. Bang! DraftKings, code Arrowhead. Go out, I don't know, bet something on the Celtics and Pacers. The Celtics seem to just screw up every game 2 they're in. I don't know. Indiana blew game 1. Maybe it's a decent bet. Maybe it's not. I completely screw you out of some money. We're going to find out. But right now, we're getting into the podcast. Enough with the reads. Phantom's asking, after looking at the Chiefs' schedule, what do you predict their record will be? So, Phantom, good question. I did this exercise for all the AFC teams over on SI.com. I also did it on my podcast, The Matt Verderame Show, which is over on Patreon, which, by the way, look, I'm not going to be that guy who shills for himself because that guy's terrible. But if you enjoy my work or if you just flat out hate me and want to hate me a little bit more, go over to Patreon, go to The Matt Verderame Show. You can even just Google The Matt Verderame Show, Patreon. The link's in the description here. And you can subscribe. There's multiple tiers, free tier, $5, $10, whatever it is. But there's plenty of stuff. There's breaking news shows at least twice a week for an hour each. Any event, this is not that, and this is not an infomercial. But just wanted to toss that out there, and now I'll shut up and answer the question. Look, I think they're going to go 14-3. That's my prediction for them. The same record as that in 2022. You could argue it's 13-4. I mean, you could argue anything, but I was between 13-4, 14-3. My thought process is this. I think it's really hard to sweep your division. I will say this. I think they're going to sweep Denver, and I think they're going to sweep the Raiders. In fact, if I had to give you one prediction I feel is more ironclad than anything else, they are beating the Raiders twice this year. Do you know how badly they're going to want to beat them after what happened on Christmas? And then Antonio Pierce having to say what he said afterward? They're beating the Raiders twice. I think it's very hard to win all 6. So I'll say they split with the Chargers. I'll say 5-1. The NFC South, Before the schedule came out, I said to myself, one of those games with the Bucks and the Saints at home, that's a trap game all day long. But now they're both on Monday Night Football, so they're not trap games. I think they'll win those games. I think they'll kill the Panthers. The Falcons game, again, I looked at that before the schedule came out. I'm like, that's a trap game. That's a noon kick all day in Atlanta. Stadium has no energy, but it's a Sunday night game. I think they're going to sweep that division. I think they will lose at San Francisco. The Niners, look, if there's ever a game, the Niners are going to come out with the fury of a million suns. It's that game. So that would put you at what? That puts you at 9-2. I think they'll beat Houston at home. Tough game, but I think they beat them. It's at home. It's in December. It's cold. Dome team coming up. Strouser have been at Arrowhead. I think they win. And then, look, I think they will beat Buffalo on the road. I usually pick them to lose to Buffalo in the regular season, but I just think Buffalo this year has lost a lot. I think they'll win. And then the AFC North, just give me 3-1. However it shakes. If I had to pick, I think they'll beat Baltimore and Cincinnati and split the road games. They'll just there's always a game in there. You'll lose it, you shouldn't. Maybe it's a Cleveland. Maybe it's kind of just a trap game. But I think they're a 13th, 14-win team. And I think if they're healthy, they'll be the 1 seed in the AFC. I do. I think their schedule lines up for them. It's not that tough. I think, at least in my opinion, I think the Chiefs are in a very good spot. I see Mighty saying, the season seems to be heavy on the distraction and drama side than more than usual with the Kansas City offseason by far. Does this affect the three-peat chances? I am seeing shades of the 2018 Steelers. It impacts it in the sense that Rashee Rice very well might be suspended to start the year. So in that regard, yeah. But the Butker stuff, no. The Butker stuff, and I'm not going to get into what he said. No, it's been litigated 1,000 times in a million places, and you don't need me to sit here and do it again. But I don't think that's going to have any impact. Wande Morris, that's not going to matter. The Rashee Rice stuff, that's the thing that matters. The rest of it's all whatever in terms of on-field performance. And I think they'll be fine. They'll survive. If Rice is suspended 6 to 8 games, whatever it is, they'll survive it. They'll be fine. They basically won the Super Bowl last year with Rashee Rice being the only competent receiver on the entire team, and he basically didn't even play the first half of the year, except for a bubble screen here and a quick little hitter hit there. I think they'll be okay. I think they'll be all right. I will say this about the Chiefs. Once they get into camp, training camp, all the rest of this stuff goes by the boards. They are incredible at honing in and focusing and just, look, this is how it's going to get done. This is what we need to do. And that starts at the top. That starts with Andy, starts with Pat, starts with Travis, starts with Chris Jones. That's how they approach business. I got to tell you, I actually think this team is going to be extremely motivated. They know if they win this Super Bowl, their place in history is above anybody else's. Look, anyone who knows me knows how much I love history. They win the Super Bowl this year. They're the greatest team in NFL history. Period. End of discussion. 4 in 6 years, 3 in a row. No team's ever won 3 Super Bowls in a row. The only team to ever go 4 out of 6 was the 74 through the 79 Steelers. That was before the cap. In fact, those Steelers teams are the last teams to ever win a Super Bowl with nothing but homegrown players. That will never happen again. If the Chiefs win 4 to 6, they match the Steelers in terms of the titles in that time frame, and they won 3 in a row. It's over. They're the best team of all time. Mahomes knows he checked that back-to-back box that Brady checked. Brady never checked the three-peat box. Believe me, that is going to be ample motivation. And if he's motivated and Kelsey's motivated, the rest of that team's going to follow suit. Lauren Shank says, Marvin Harrison Jr. signed his deal today, so what's holding up Worthy? I don't think anything's holding him up, man. It could be a little bit of language in the contract. Sometimes guys want certain language in there, or certain agents like certain language in there that can be minutia, but it's important in terms of offset language in case it doesn't work out. I think, I'm sure that will be handled, whether it's handled during OTAs or it's handled in June. I am not concerned about it. With the rookie wage scale coming in the last decade, guys just don't hold out anymore. It doesn't happen. It's just so easy to sign the contract. It's so easy. You iron out a few little things here or there, but it's pretty straight up. It's pretty straight up. Steven says, what makes you feel like you can do this show? They asked me to do it. And I'm good at talking. I'm a moron, but I can talk. And I can talk about football. So between them asking me and me being able to talk about football, I think we're in a good spot. I feel good about it. Family man, what's up, Matt? What's going on, dude? Glad I caught this. Really enjoy how you keep it 100. I think like you, we're going to have the squad and really be really hard to beat. Yeah, I just think they're really good. I mean, obviously, I'm not breaking ground there, right? I'm not breaking ground. They're back-to-back Super Bowl champions, and you could argue they're better. Look, losing LeJarry Sneed matters. They got to figure that out a little bit, but they're deep in the secondary. I think the big question for them right now is left tackle. I think that's the big question. Like, who's your left tackle? Is it Suamataia? Is it Morris? But beyond that, I don't know that they have any real questions with this team. Like, what is the other question? I mean, if you're looking at it, they're loaded everywhere else. You know who they've got on special teams. They have the best coach in the league and the best quarterback in the world. They've got the best tight end in football. They've got a top 10 running back. They have the best interior offensive line in football. You could argue that over the last couple of years in Philadelphia. Now that Kelsey's retired. I mean, they have the best interior offensive line in football. The tackles are a question. Juwan Taylor was better as the year went on last year. He's got to be even better. Defensively, look, Sneed obviously is a great player. They got to replace him. You'll see more of Williams. You'll see more of Watson. I would think you're going to see more Connor in the slot as well. But they're deep. They're versatile in the secondary. The linebackers, I know they lost Gabe, but Chenal is going to step up. Tranquil will play more snaps, and they'll be fine there. And then up front, I mean, look, man, you bring back Dana. You have Amenahu. You have FAU in his second year rotating in. Obviously, you bring back Chris Jones. You bring back all these other D tackles like Pinnell, who's a run stuffer, Noddy, who's a run stuffer, Ward, who can give you a little bit of both. They got Carl Loftus. I mean, they're just deep, man. They're just really, really, really deep. Alan's asking, do you think Joshua Williams and Jalen Watson make a big jump in year 3? It's funny, Alan. On my podcast for tomorrow, which I already recorded, the old man and I chopped it up. And I asked him to give me a prediction on who he thought might step up this year and really take a leap in the stardom. And I won't give his answer, but my answer was Jalen Watson. I think Jalen Watson's a really good player, and he's about to become a borderline Pro Bowler. That's my feeling. His technique's very good. He's always got a nose for the ball. He's physical. He's got the size. He's not a big speed guy, but I just think he's a guy who gives you a lot. I think the more he plays and the smarter he gets, I think he really is going to be somebody who blossoms, especially now with more snaps than he's even already had. And I think Williams will do a nice job. I think Watson could do a really good job. Darren, I like the name. Linebacker might not be as good as last year due to the loss of Willie. Going to miss him. You know what? I hear you. Willie Gay was a good player, and he'll help the Saints. I just think they're qualified there to handle it. Tranquil did not play 60% of snaps last year. He's going to play more. Chenal is going to play more. He's going to play over 50% for the first time in his career. I think those guys are really good. I just think they're really good. Now, the concern is the depth, right? Like if somebody gets hurt who's behind them, that's concerning. But I think if they stay healthy at linebacker, I think they're in a great spot. I really do. I truly feel that way. Steve says, when Rice is reinstated, the offense will blow up. I'd like to see a running back added. Do you agree? Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a veteran guy brought in. I'm not overstung about it. I think they'll figure it out. But it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Look, my opinion on the offense may not be popular, but this is how I think it's going to happen. I think with the first 6 to 8 games of the year, which coincides with Rice's suspension, his potential suspension, I think this offense is going to struggle a little bit because it's going to be, teams are going to double Brown and Worthy, like every other rookie receiver in Andy Reid's career. He's going to get worked in slowly, and they're going to run the ball, and they're going to be featuring Kelsey, and it's going to kind of be like last year. And then I think about 8 games into the year, Worthy's going to get comfortable, and Rice is going to come back, and all of a sudden, I think you're going to go from a team that they're good offensively. Like I'm not saying they're going to be terrible. I think it'll be 10th, 11th, something like that, to the best offense in football the last 9 weeks of the year. Like that's what I think is in store. But who knows? Maybe Worthy is better than I think right off the bat. I like him. I think he's going to be good. I just think the history tells you that it's going to be a slow ramp up. Steven says that you're doing a good job. Thank you, Steven. Appreciate you. Do the best I can. Lauren Shank says, do you think teams will be able to run the ball on us in 2024 with ease? No, I don't. And the linebackers are all good against the run. all three of them, Bolton specifically. And they brought back their run stuffers. Noddy inside, Pinnell, who's a bull inside. Karloftis is a good run defender. I think they're going to be pretty good against the run. Dan is a good run defender. Mena, who's a pretty good run defender. Jones is the one guy here. Look, Jones usually kind of hits the running back on the way to the quarterback. But no, I think they're, and look, the other thing too is like with Hicks, he's a big safety. They're going to use him in some linebacker roles, I guarantee you. They like, McDuffie's a hitter in the box. So no, I actually think the Chiefs will be all right against the run. Now, I will say this. The Chiefs have always had the mindset that they are willing to concede the run if it means shutting down your passing game. And they're right to do that. I mean, go look at that game against the Bills last year in the playoffs where they completely shut down Allen throwing the ball past the line of scrimmage in that game. He was 10-21 for 95 yards on throws past the line of scrimmage. Yeah, they ran for $180. Who cares? They couldn't throw the ball. When they had to throw the ball, they couldn't. They lost. Brian Gales. What's up, Brian? Question. The three-peat season depend on our run D. There's a lot of good running backs on the schedule. There are a lot of good running backs on the schedule. But I would say, look, that's always part of it. But, man, I really think it's just going to depend on health. If they're healthy, they're going to be loaded. They're really good, man. Because here's one thing, too. If they're scoring like I think they're going to be scoring, especially the back half of the year, how often are you running on them? You got to throw. You got to keep up. Look, I think the run defense will probably lag behind the pass defense just because they focus more on pass defense. But one thing I'll say with the Chiefs, when the Chiefs have had games where they're like, we need to shut this team down on the ground, they do it. They do it. There's always that talk last year about Baltimore and how, they abandoned the run. Look, Baltimore did abandon the run. But part of that was because the Chiefs put enough guys in the box that they basically just said, go ahead, do it. See what happens. Do it. And Baltimore said, all right, we'll throw. And the Chiefs shut them down one-on-one. So I think you got to keep that in mind. Lucas says, I don't understand why people are so hung up on losing Lloyd Gay. He was solid at best, but he was never replaceable. No, he's a good player. But I agree, Lucas. Like, I think Chanel will be fine. I think Chanel will do a pretty damn good imitation of Willie Gay. Family Man says, sorry, I meant what's good. What's good? What's good, man? I agree with everything you said, but do you think Jawan Taylor will really be that much better? Kind of scared me last year with all the calls. Leo and Karloftis as well. Yeah, I think Leo and Karloftis are going to continue to get better. I mean, Karloftis had double-digit sacks last year, and Chanel, I think, will be just fine. I think Taylor will be better. I don't think he's going to be great. I think he's going to be an average right tackle, which is not what they're paying for. They're paying for a top-tier right tackle. I think he's going to be an average right tackle. But that's better than what he was last year, which was in the beginning of the year, a complete tire fire. KL says, who's really fighting for the 53 this year? Who's right on the edge? I'll tell you what, man, that's a good question. I mean, it's hard this time of year. You haven't seen the camp battles kind of shake out yet. I'm trying to think of anybody who I think could be like a surprise cut. I mean, I made a mention of all those D tackles that got brought back, obviously putting Jones aside here. Maybe one of those guys is a surprise cut. Dickerson's now back in the fold. Like, does he make the 53? We'll see. On the offensive line, they had a couple of day 3 picks in Norzad and Hansen. Like, I think Norzad makes it. Does Hansen make it? If he does, is that it for Caliendo? Like, there are a couple questions there. I think in the secondary, Najee Johnson really flashed last year before he got hurt in camp. Like, does he make the team? There's a lot of corners. They drafted another one in Haddon, like out of Tennessee in the 6th round. So those are some guys I'm watching. Micah says, "Sup, Matt? Any word on the new punter? Heard they were concerned about him, never held field goals." I have not heard anything about that, to be honest. I've also not checked in on that. He has a huge leg. I'm sure they will work throughout the year or the summer on him holding field goals. I would imagine that they'll get that down. But no, I mean, listen, we're going to see how it all plays out. He's a kid who, when he was coming out of San Diego State, his nickname was Punt God. And then, of course, look, he got cut by the Bills in preseason of his rookie year because there were allegations of gang rape. Those allegations have since been dropped. Ariaza countersued. It was, you can go look it up, the whole thing. But I mean, look, there's no question of his talent. It's just a question of, he's been away from the game for a little bit. How does he, get back into things? We'll see. Lucas says, do you think their lack of investment in defensive tackle other than 95? Obviously. It will come back to bite them. I understand they like to move their Ds inside on occasion, which helps. So, Lucas, you kind of took my answer away. What I was going to say was they do like to play a lot of those guys inside. Menahu plays inside, and Dana plays inside. Jones obviously has the versatility to play both in and out. I know this sounds probably stupid, but I really do feel this way. I like the fact they brought Mike Pennell back. Mike Pennell is one of those guys that you're like, hey, he's a guy, 1-year deal, vet minimum, whatever. That guy in a Chiefs uniform, in every big game he's ever been in, is just a dominant run stuffing force. And I know, that's not a sexy thing. That's an important thing to have on the roster where you can just go, hey, look, we got to stop this team from running the ball. Hey, Big Mike, you're playing 50% of the snaps this week, man. That matters. They didn't have that guy last year until Pennell showed up. I mean, so last year, I'm going to look this up quickly. Forgive me. I know I'm doing this live. I'm curious, Mike Pennell's snap counts in that Super Bowl. It wasn't anything crazy if memory serves. But he played a significant amount. And of course, he was awesome. You could argue his best games ever played. So last year, let's see here. Where is Mike Pennell? Mike Pennell played 45 defensive snaps in the regular season for the Chiefs. Now, obviously, he wasn't there most of the year. He played, let's see, he showed up week 14. And so, let's see here. Postseason, what do we got? He played in the Super Bowl. Here we go. Sorry, guys. Played 40 snaps. Played 40 against Buffalo. Played 40 against the Niners. That was 53%. 53%. The most he's ever played in a playoff game. And I'm looking at it right now. It might be the most he's ever played in any NFL game. Now he played 54% of snaps in a game that was all backups. Played 61% of snaps. Okay, so, you're talking that's some of the most he's ever played in his career. But no, because they can rotate guys in, I'm not that worried about it. Mighty says, what will be the difference between this year and last year's run D if the defensive roster has not changed for the most part? I think that Chanel's a better run defender than Willie Gay is. And I think Tranquil is too. So that's part of it. I just mentioned that they have Pennell for the whole year. I think that matters. And look, I think, I think the other guys, Menahu is the second year in the system. I don't think it's going to be amazing, but I think it'll be better, league average. I also don't I know we've talked a lot about the run defense unexpectedly today. I also just don't know that they don't care. They care that they stop it situationally. They care that they stop the run when they play teams that they have to stop the run against. When they're playing teams like Buffalo, go ahead and run the ball. We're not going to let you throw it. Cincinnati, hey, Zach Moss, you want to have 100 yards, bud? You go right ahead. They don't, they care about the run game when they play Baltimore. They care about the run game when they play Christian McCaffrey. Then they care. But, they will concede the run to some extent to say that you are not going to throw the ball. Okay. Nikki, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate you. And same to you, family. I saw that before. A Phantom question. Who presents the biggest threat to the Chiefs? Three-peat, the Ravens or the Texans? I think it's Cincinnati. But out of those two teams, Houston. I respect Baltimore. Baltimore to me in the playoffs, so it's the same story every year. Call me when Baltimore wins a single meaningful game. I know they won a divisional round game. I guess I shouldn't take that away from them. I just they're. I don't know. If the Chiefs play them in a playoff game, I have no fear of them. I just feel like every time the Chiefs play them, the Chiefs will just figure it out because I feel like the Chiefs have more ways to win than Baltimore. Houston has a great offense, at least on paper, and a big-time pair of edge rushers in Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter. But I think Cincinnati, if they're healthy, I think they're the biggest threat. I still feel that way. Gary, who do you feel will be the Chiefs' hardest team to beat this year? In the regular season, I think it's the Niners. But as I just mentioned, in a playoff game, at least in the AFC, I think it's Cincinnati. Because Cincinnati doesn't fear the Chiefs. A lot of these teams are scared to death of the Chiefs. Cincinnati's not. Old Frick, thank you. Do you think Luis Reese-Zammit will play at all next year? I'm going to say no. It's a big learning curve, but I'm curious to see him. Micah says, "Sup, Matt? If Travis Hunter is available to us in the draft next year, should we draft him?" Micah, I'm going to be honest with you. I have no clue. Let's see what he does this year. It's a long way away, man. He's very talented. Who are the starting corners? McDuffie, Williams, and Watson. Lauren Shanks says, "What are your thoughts on our running back depth chart? It needs another guy, but I'm fine. Obviously, Pacheco's fine as a starter. CEH is a backup. Look, could they do better? Yeah. Could they do worse? Yeah. He's a backup. It's fine. They need to find a third guy. I wouldn't be opposed to McKinnon coming back. That's just me. Let's see. Let me scroll up. Joshua Clayton says, "So much of the worthy won't get hurt crowd. OTAs and already a hammy. Bro, it's a hammy. It's like tweaked a hamstring. He played 3 full years at Texas. That doesn't count anymore because they were cautiously holding him out of an OTA with a hammy. I mean, played 3 full years at Texas. Got hit a lot harder there than he did in OTAs, and they're running around in shorts. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I'm sorry. I can't get worked up about that. USA FG's fan. Any thoughts on how well Amenahu will be at the start of the season, and does FAU become more of a factor? Well, sure, he does if Amenahu can't go. Look, I think Amenahu's shooting to be there week 1. I think if you're the Chiefs, you play careful with him. If he's healthy, great, play him. If he's not, that's fine. Put him on the pup list. See you week 5. I wouldn't force it. I wouldn't rush him. You need him down the stretch. Like the Chiefs are a team that everything's about January and February. Everything. They're going to get to January and February as long as Mahomes is upright. The rest of it, it's all about getting there healthy. So, yeah, I think, look, if Amenahu's out, sure. I think you'll see more Mike Dana. I think you'll see more FAU. But they'll, look, Amenahu will be. Don't forget last year, he suspended the first 6 games of the year. They were 5-1. They're okay. They're fine. Mike, if Count Chocula gets discontinued, would you personally go to General Mills Corporation and protest? I would try to file a class action lawsuit. Yes. That would be absolute full-blown bullshit if they did that. That is not okay. Joshua says, who's your slot corner coming out of camp? I mean, McDuffie, but I think Connor's going to play a lot there too. I think they're going to rotate those guys. I've been trying to find out more about that. And look, I will tell you this. They see Connor as a versatile chess piece, and I think you're going to see him quite a bit in the slot. Latrell says, what are the odds of Donovan Smith back to share on the roster? I'll say right now like 30%. But if they get through OTAs and minicamp and they don't like what they see, or they get through a week at camp and they don't like what they see, and he's still out there, then I think he's absolutely the break glass in case of emergency player. And that is certainly true. But yeah, right now I think they're going to see what they have out of Sua, Mataiya, and Morris. I mean, those are 2 day 2 picks. Like, those are reasonable investments. So, and they want to see what they have in those guys. Cody's saying, will the Chiefs have 7 receivers again in the final 53? I don't think so this year. Especially because Rice might be suspended and he won't count against the 53. So, no, I don't think so. I think, look, let's say Rice is there. You got Rice, you got Brown, you got Worthy, you got Watson. And then I think it's probably Moore and Tony. Although Tony, like, I don't know, man. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Why? Like, what has he ever done? Like, yeah, bring him back. That's awesome. And Josh, I kind of answered your question. But yeah, like 5 and 6 receivers out of camp. Like, those 2 right now, but there's a lot of runway to go. That could definitely change. They could bring it back, but Cole Hardman, then I think it does change. Balloon the Raccoon, hilarious name. What's up, Verderame? What's up, man? How you doing? Rob, what's up, man? How you doing? Jeff says all really fast guys have soft tissue problems from time to time. Yeah, and like these are, I mean, he tweaked a hamstring. Like Mahomes didn't even said, like, if you need to practice, going to practice. How can I get Verderame's autograph? Well, you can email me. I believe it or not, I have had people send stuff to my house, and I've autographed it for them and sent it back to them. So, you ever want my autograph? You got it. Is Kingsley going to be ready day 1 of the season? Yeah, look, I think he's the betting favorite right now, if you ask me, to start. I think he's the guy. if they loved Wanya Morris to the end of time, they wouldn't have drafted Suamate in the second round. So yeah, I think he's probably the guy who's got the leg up. But Morris, of course, was in the building last year, so we'll see. But if I had to pick, I would pick him. Joshua, you think we'll go with more 12 personnel in the regular season? Which, by the way, for those who don't know, that's a running back and 2 tight ends. Yeah, I do. I had Trey Smith on my podcast, the old Matt Verderame show on Patreon. Shameless plug. I'm sorry, I can't help myself. I feel like Dr. Phil. He's like, buy my book, subscribe to my podcast. Thankfully, though, I still have a little more hair than Dr. Phil and more self-respect. And I asked Trey Smith, I said, who's the most underrated player on the offense? Who's the unsung hero? And he said, Noah Gray. Noah Gray is a valuable part of that offense. Now they bring in Jared Wiley. I think you can see more 12 and more 13, especially in the red zone. Gary, could you see Hollywood and Worthy go for 1,000 yards this year? No, because I could see Hollywood doing it. I think Worthy, it's just, look, they don't bring receivers along that quickly in this offense as rookies. I know Rice could have done it last year. That's because they had nobody else, man. I mean, they were one more drop from me getting a call. Like, they just had to. They didn't have a choice. So I think Hollywood. Look, I will say this. I think there's a world this year where Mahomes has another MVP caliber, like, statistical season where he throws for like 4,800 yards and like 43 touchdowns. But I don't think Worthy's going to have 1,000 yards. I don't. I think it's more likely that Hollywood has a really big year. Maybe Worthy has like 700 yards, and then Rice, assuming you got a factor in suspension, maybe has like 600, 700 yards, and then Kelsey has 1,000 yards. Like, I think they are going to try to be very aggressive, as Mahomes talked about, both down the field and just trying to gun it a little bit more. Bumpa, what do you see for Juwan Taylor this season? Will he go back to being a solid tackle that won't get flagged 10 times a game? Look, I think he'll be, again, I said it earlier, I'll say it again. I think he'll be an average right tackle. They're paying him to be more than that. I think he played better as the year went on. I think he adjusted with the flags. I had a lot of Chiefs fans scream at me at the beginning of the year, and I said I didn't think he was being targeted. I just thought he was making a bunch of mistakes. I still feel that way. He played better, but look, he struggled last year. And the flags were a huge part of that. If he just cuts down on the flags, I think he's an average right tackle. So hopefully that answers the question. Micah, did you see the new Kansas Stadium proposal? If Missouri doesn't legalize gambling, do you think they will move to Kansas? I think they will end up staying right where they are. Because I think, look, when I saw that thing got voted down, like, what was it, a month ago? My first reaction was, guess what's about to happen? They're going to split from the Royals. They're going to do their own proposal. If you're the state of Missouri, you're going to let that team walk out of town? And you're going to lose all that money that goes along with that team? Are you kidding me? Every politician in Missouri, I don't care what party they are, should be absolutely booted out if they let the Chiefs get out of Missouri. Okay, that's a terrible idea. Boy, if you're a Chiefs fan, like, as long as they stay in Kansas City, they're going to stay in Kansas City. Do you think Kelsey gets 1,000 yards again this year? It might be hard because he'll be 35 and there's more weapons. I actually do think he will, and here's why. Teams last year played a lot of single high because they had no respect for the Chiefs over the top. None. Why would you? Watching his speed, but he's a third, fourth receiver. MVS couldn't catch a cold barefooted in Alaska last year. And Tony was basically persona non grata. This year, you have Worthy and Hollywood Brown. Teams got to play too high. And I think it's going to open up a lot of the middle for Kelsey and a lot of the middle for Rice when he comes back. I think Kelsey's going to eat again. I don't know if he has 1,200 yards in him. I think he has 1,000. Hell, he would have had 1,000 last year if he didn't sit the last game. Do you see Carson Wentz becoming midseason trade bait to a team needing a replacement QB? Only if the Chiefs feel good about the guy behind Wentz. Because otherwise, the insurance is too valuable for the Chiefs. Joshua says, does Pop get 1,000 yards? No. I'll say no. I'll say it's like 800. But I also think he'll be efficient. I just think this is the year they're going to throw the ball a lot. And they're going to try to just drown teams in big passing games. And that answers your other question, Joshua, which is, do I think Andy will open it up more? Yes. I think the Chiefs are I think the Chiefs mentality this year is going to be basically just like shock and awe, where it's here it comes, deal with it. They might be the only team in NFL history that won the Super Bowl and was pissed at how they had to do it. Like, they clearly did not enjoy playing the way they had to play last year, and they went out and they're like, all right, we're going to revamp this. It's not a coincidence. Sky and Tony just can't bodies, or the Chiefs still somewhat believe in. Look, I think Sky's making the team. Tony, I just don't get it, guys. Honest to God, like, why he's still on the team, I have no clue. What has he done? I don't get it. I'll never get it. I think they should cut him an hour ago. That's just me. Does Nico Remigio make the team? No, I don't think so. Kyle saying, out of the past teams that were going for a three-peat, which team do you think this Chiefs team is most similar to? 90 49ers, 94 Cowboys. This roster is better than the 05 Pats. I agree with you. It's better than the 05 Pats. That defense was getting long in the tooth at that point. And they got injured. I think that's why I didn't do it. The 94 Cowboys are interesting. The problem with the 94 Cowboys is they had a new coach. I'd say the 90 49ers. It's the same team for the most part, coming back. I think, and by the way, of all the teams in the history of the NFL that had a shot to three-peat, that team should have done it. That was the team. Of all of them, that 90s Niners team, that team was a force of nature. They should have done it. But that goes to how hard it is. It's really, 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 really hard. Must have been a comedian in the past life. You know what? It's funny. I've always wanted to try stand-up comedy, but not yet. I'll let you know when it happens. People boo me off stage, telling me I'm garbage. Ronald says, hey, Matt, just sending over some huge props covering the Q&A like all times. You got it, man. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you. All right, let's get a few more in here before we go. He did have a huge punt return, which is an amazing play. And he deserves all the credit in the world for that. But, like, you're not keeping a guy around for 2 more years because you had a punt return, right? I mean, it was an amazing play. Not taking it away, but it's one play. Tony's going to go off and y'all going to eat your words. Hey, man, that'd be great. I hope I do. That would be awesome. I hope he has 2,000 yards receiving. Bumpo, will the defense be top 5 again this year? More like top 10. Also, along with that, is Spags the best defensive mind in the NFL? Is your Hall of Famer? I think they're a borderline top 5 defense. It's really hard to do that 2 years in a row. They were number 2 last year, statistically speaking. I think they're going to be right there, though, again, man. Look, Snead isn't lost. They've got to factor that in. I just think they're so damn good everywhere else. And everybody's there. Like, they've all been in this defense for years now. There's not one guy on that defense that hasn't been in the defense already. That matters. I think they're like right, somewhere between like 3 to 6, somewhere in there. They're going to be terrific. I'd be very surprised if they're not. As for Spags, best defensive mind in the NFL, I would have said him and Belichick. Belichick's now, at the moment, retired. Him, Mike McDonald, Lou Anarumo. Yeah, man, right there. And is he a Hall of Famer? I mean, no coordinator's ever made it to the Hall of Fame as a coordinator. Dick LeBeau, but as a player. I think that he deserves legitimate consideration. He's that great. He's that great. I mean, the guy has 4 rings, and his defenses have been spectacular in 3 of those games for the Super Bowl. Okay. Let's see here. Are you at least a little concerned about Joe Thuney's health in recent years? No, I'm not. I'm trying to. I mean, obviously, the torn pec. Was he hurt the year prior to that? He wasn't seriously hurt. I'm trying. Am I losing my mind? Was he hurt? They have me questioning myself. He has played. He missed 2 games. I can't remember for the life of me why he missed 2 games. Can't remember. I apologize. Other than that, he's played every single game of his career. He missed 2 games in 2022, and then last year played every game until he tore his pec. No, I'm not concerned about him. Expectations for the new rookie tight end? Low. I mean, I think he's a good prospect. I just think he's behind the greatest tight end of all time, Noah Gray. Like, can he get out on the field for some packaged reps, for red zone reps? I think long term he's very interesting. Like him a lot. This year, I think, look, it's going to be a get your feet wet type of year. Mighty says not Chiefs related, but division winner predictions. Well, it is related to Chiefs because I have them in the West. Give me Buffalo, Cincinnati, and Houston in the AFC. And in the NFC, give me the Niners. I only have one new winner so far. That always changes. Give me the Eagles. They would be a different winner. Give me the Lions. Give me the Falcons. Those 8. Adam says ankle in week 6. Okay, now that you say that, yes, you're right. I just couldn't remember for the life, man. I did not remember that. We'll read everyone coach of the year in Kansas City. Mike, it's just hard because they're expected to win 17 games every year. So my answer is no. I think they'd have to go like 15-2, 16-1, 17-0 or something like that. It's just hard. Is Bolton worth paying? I don't know if paying a non-cover linebacker is worth top dollar. Man, it's tough. I think they will pay him because Spagnuolo loves him. But man, let's put it this way. I think he's worth paying, but I would cap it at a certain point. Like $15 million a year is probably like the absolute maximum I would pay him, even with an inflation and cap every year. I do think he's very valuable with his mind, and I think he's very valuable downhill as a run defender. But he is limited in other ways. I'm not paying him like he's Fred Warner. He's not Fred Warner, but he is a good football player. So that's where I stand on that. All right. In late, don't hate, Raphael says, but is there a real left tackle we can score? I think they're going to let him play out, man. But I think Donovan Smith is that break class guy. All right. And then let's see. The last 2 here from Micah and then Samuel. I'll get Bump as well. So I saw it come in. So the last 3. Do you think the NFC South games will be harder than expected? Do we sweep? I think they're going to sweep those games. The Panthers are awful, and they're not losing at home on a Monday night to the Bucs or the Saints. So it really just leaves the Falcons. Falcons have a short week 3. It's a Sunday night game. Cousins has been historically terrible on Sunday night games. He's also coming off the Achilles. I'll take the Chiefs to sweep. 5-1 in the division. Is it just me or is Pat coming into camp a little bit heavy? He's added some LBs. Samuel, I got to be honest with you. He looked the exact same thing the last season. I'm not sweating it. Like he'll be fine. I'm not worried about that. I saw the pictures. I even made a joke about dad bod. Listen, I appreciate that he's dad bodding it for all of us. Okay. I saw him walking in that t-shirt. I'm like, hey, that kind of looks like my frame. I can appreciate that. He'll be fine. And then do you think Chris Jones will have 15 sacks this year? I hope he still puts in the work after the payday. I think he will. Hey, man, he got paid once already. And that guy did nothing but work even harder. I don't worry about his work ethic. I'll say it's like 12. I mean, 15's a hell of a year. I'll say it's like 12 sacks, which is amazing, which is a first-team All-Pro for a D tackle. So that's, and then Virginia. Did your line look better? I think it has potential to be better with Suamataia. And Angry Drunken German. Hey, man, the good news is these things are on YouTube. Thank you, everybody, for the questions. Appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for subscribing to the Arrowhead Addict podcast. If you haven't given the show a like, please give it a like. If you're listening, please rate it 5 stars. Leave a comment. Raphael, thank you for the super chat, man. Any free agent edge guys out there? Yannick Ngakoue's out there. He'd be the guy I would point to. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. And then lastly, as you see, look in the description here, and Richard dropping it in, my man Richard. Thank you so much for all the help today. I have my own podcast, which is about the Chiefs. It is all about the Chiefs. The Mad Verderame Show on Patreon. I've had great guests so far. Trey Smith has been on. Lewis Riddick's been on. We've had Patrick Allen on. Sterling Holmes has been on. Nate Taylor was on this past week. The Old Man comes on. Joshua Briscoe. Every Monday, I do it solo, and then I have a little history lesson on the back end. It's an hour-long show. Every Friday, I have a guest for the first half of the show, mailbag for the second half. If you ask me a question, you will get an answer in that mailbag. And then I have bonus content throughout the week. Next week, doing a happy hour with the $10 members. So if you want to subscribe, you can check out the link right there. Or just go to patreon.com/Matt Verderame. You can check out the show. We really appreciate all the support. But regardless, I'm happy to be back here. This is awesome. You can find me here. You can find me on the Mad Verderame Show. You can find me at Sports Illustrated, SI.com. Of course, on Twitter or X, whatever the hell we're calling it these days, at Mad Verderame. I'm there. I'm here. I'm everywhere. Thank you so much for watching and or listening. Appreciate you. And we'll be talking to you again real soon. I'll be back right here next Thursday. Take care.